Hey guys, how are you today? I'm sure that a lot of you are excited about the news that we got today, confirmed today, in terms of having the Leaving Cert cancelled for the year and having predicted grades. I'm pretty sure that many of you are disappointed with the decision and were willing to actually sit for the Leaving Cert exams this year. I understand. So today's video is like me just thinking out loud about the pros and cons that I thought about in terms of having predicted grades as the Ministry of Education has decided to move forward with in Ireland. The way I see it is that both ways we would have had like pros and cons. Even if we had the exams, there were things that we wouldn't like to have around, like for example the spreading of the coronavirus and going against the regulations of having a lot of people in the same place at once, or putting our parents in the risk of getting the coronavirus because we're associating with a lot of people. That too, I understand. But talking about predicted grades and what are we going to do with that now and how is that going to affect us is a major it's a burden to get through it this way, especially for a lot of students that I would like to classify in this sense. But like, the first thing that I want to talk about is how biased this may get. Now, every teacher would want to help their own students get good grades and pass, right? Of course. I mean, a lot of most teachers, most reputable teachers do not want to just provide their students with grades that they think may not really reflect their true ability. Now that I understand and I agree with, but there's something called bias in terms of me teaching my students for the past 3 years, the same people. You get attached to them no matter what you think you don't, you do. So you will somehow, even if you're not that biased, you'll end up giving them a little bit more than they deserve. You'll kind of be lenient with the situation that this year has been going through, this whole hellhole that we've been living to, like this whole thing. So you would maybe perhaps a student who was supposed to get maybe an H4, you'll end up giving them an H3 because you would sympathize with what they're going through. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's a con because it's biased. So that's not a true reflection of their ability. That's in one sense. What about fairness? Now, there are a lot of cases. Now, this is one of the most important points that I think of, and this is where I kind of understand with the students that are pissed off about the decision. Think about two types of students. Let's say, first of all, the students that have never done jack for the first maybe, 6 months, and then they actually picked up the pace and started working on themselves, preparing for the Leaving Cert. So someone who, let's say, got bad grades throughout the entirety of the year and then finally got a wake-up call sometime in January or February and started studying 10 hours a day. I know that's very rare to happen. Before you say it down in the comments, I know before you criticize what I'm thinking, but there are students who do get a wake-up call at the very end, the last 3 months, last 6 months, whatever it is. What about these students? So for instance, someone who has started to study the last couple of weeks or months before the exam during the coronavirus epidemic, now they're supposed to be judged based on what they've done or what actually they haven't done anything when they were in school. So that's kind of like a very much unfair way of assessing them, because they had a change of heart in terms of studying. Now they are most likely to even get much higher grades in terms of what they used to. So let's say a student who used to fail math higher, who even considered of dropping to ordinary, now studies 5 hours a day. He or she can probably end up with an H3 or even an H2 or an H1 in that sense. Yes, that would be very rare and extreme, but getting an H3 for instance instead of an fail. But now, because of predicted grading, they'll get an F or a 50 or a 40. Like, that in this sense is very much unfair. What about the people that actually couldn't study because of other circumstances? Let's talk about disease, all right? People that, God forbid, but there are some students, we have around 65,000, 55,000 pupils who do the Leaving Cert every year. But what about these students that were in intensive care, that had some major complicated health issue? I know there are not like a lot out there, but there are a lot of students who couldn't do that. What about anxiety, depression, and all these mental problems that people have had, and they finally got cured of them, and now are willing to, pick up the pace and start studying again because they couldn't do that? They are going to be judged based on that. So let's say the Irish Ministry of Education has considered to, tell teachers to put that into account or to take that into consideration when giving the grades. So what is the teacher going to do? Give that student who used to get 50s because of a medical issue, give them a 90 now? They're not going to get that. They're going to probably get like 60 because they consider them for their issue, for their mental or physical issue, whatever they were going through in terms of health-wise. All right, so this is something that's also very much unfair. Something else that I would want to think of, a lot of students and parents will, definitely going to proceed legal proceedings. They're going to file lawsuits against the Ministry of Education, against the person who actually, conducted this, or against alcohol. I mean, I hope this doesn't happen, but there's a lot of talk already out there about people not liking this decision. So most likely, and I even read this on the internet somewhere, that most likely a lot of people are going to complain either with lawsuits, or I know that they got nothing, but still it's a lot of unsatisfaction in the parents. I mean, I know some parents are never satisfied no matter what you do. I get that, but still you can't please everyone. I understand that too, but still, people should, the Ministry of Education and people responsible for this should always kind of consider the outcomes in terms of negative outcomes and positive outcomes before taking such a decision to rush. 7 days ago, predicted grades were called officially in the conference as biased, and now we're actually proceeding and going forward with this so-called biased method of providing results for students. This is, I don't think this is a good idea, or even if it is, then you should justify to the students of why you're taking this decision. I know we're thinking that this is because of the coronavirus, but the Ministry of Education should stand out there and tell the students openly of why they have now reconsidered. So what is the reason behind this whole game change or change of heart that happened in the course of 7 days? You first say something and you confirm that it's going to happen on 29th of June, and then suddenly change your minds and tell them, and just tell us or tell the students and inform them that, hey, well, we're going with predicted grades. Don't you see the extreme anxiety and stress of the indecisiveness that the Ministry of Education has put out? I understand. I also understand the Ministry of Education, that they have no choice. They have been pressured by other countries, by the Ministry of Health, I get that all. But also, it's not the fault of the students to be placed in such an impossible situation. Last but not least, what about students outside of Ireland who actually do the Leaving Cert? They can't get any predicted grades. So what is it for them to do? Repeat the year? Now that's very much unfair. Now I know that there are some countries out there who do the Leaving Cert other than Ireland. And for example, Malta. People sit for the exams in Malta every single year. They're not going to have the exams this year, but what about predicted grades? I reckon that the Irish Ministry of Education won't allow them to have predicted grades either because of I don't know, because they don't trust the school's opinions, and because of or teachers' opinions that work in that school, or because they don't accredit them, or because they don't just, that's the way it is. So that's very much unfair, and there should be a solution to these students, even if there are only 100 students out there who do that this way, or external students. What about external students in Ireland who don't go to school? What about them? How are they going to do? They can't get predicted grades because they don't go to school. They're homeschooled. What about homeschooled people? Well, we're going to get my private tutor to actually give me a predicted grade, and you're going to accept that? Probably not. So what is it you're going to do? So there should be a solution, or something to get out there to I don't know, just tell us something about these special cases. Or are we just, providing answers and solutions to regular, normal students? These students should also have something, test them, do something, I don't know, home test, internet based, whatever it is. but there should be a solution to everyone, towards every student, because they're all equal, right? This is what we believe in, right? So this is justice. In terms of pros, there's obviously less stress because of, there's you no longer have to study, and it's much easier now to get to uni. But this is very much good for the good students, the ones that actually have good grades. Let's say students who get constantly get H1s and H2s are living the dream at the moment, because they get to have a very much nicely made or done predicted grade, because they obviously are going to get an H1 or an H2 as a predicted grade. So as a result, they don't get to stress anymore, study any longer, anything. They just jump into a top tier university out there without having to set foot in the Leaving Cert exam hall, and they're set already. Now, of course, they deserve that, and I'm not talking about fairness in this sense at all. Another pro is there's a lot of not a lot, but there's less money spent in terms of the Leaving Cert, commencing in that. Some people, not everyone has an easy way of spending money, but so in this sense, predicted grades saves some money for some families. I understand that it's nothing, but still, money counts, whatever it is. It's just, have to value money for whatever it is, whether a penny or a dime or whatever. So yeah, basically, I see that there are a lot of cons in this sense, but I also, if the exams were set this year, I would also see that there would have been a lot of cons in that sense as well. So I don't think it's a lose-lose situation. I don't think that there is a good way to say this, but even if the exams took place this year, there would have been a lot of cons with that, starting from the spread of the virus and the endangering of a lot of parents and elderly and examiners and supervisors and all that. I get it. There are so many things, so many pros and cons for both actions. Having the Leaving Cert done would have had a lot of cons, and now we still have a lot of disadvantages or cons. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Just let me know. Post them down in the comments below, and I'll maybe discuss them further with you. I would really love to know what you guys think. So let me know. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys, understand what I'm saying, and I'm pretty sure that some people out there agree with me, and some people don't. Anyway, guys, it's just my personal opinion, and yeah, see you next time.